The massive ships appeared without warning. They came from the dark spaces between stars, their black hulls blocking out the sun over Earth's biggest cities. People stopped what they were doing and looked up at the sky. Fear spread like wildfire across the planet. The alien vessels were huge beyond imagination. Each one was bigger than Manhattan, floating silently above places like New York, London, Tokyo, and São Paulo. Their surface was smooth and dark, with strange lights pulsing along their sides. No sound came from them. They just hung there like giant predators waiting to strike. Dr. Sarah Chen was in her laboratory when the first reports came in. She was working on quantum physics experiments that most people would never understand. Her hands shook as she watched the news feeds on multiple screens. 47 alien ships had positioned themselves over every major city on Earth. The world's governments tried to make contact. Radio signals, laser communications, even old-fashioned Morse code. Nothing worked. The aliens remained silent for 6 long hours. People gathered in streets, on rooftops, anywhere they could see the ships. Some prayed, others cried. Many just stood in shocked silence. Then the broadcast began. Every television, radio, computer, and smartphone on Earth suddenly showed the same image. A creature stood before them unlike anything humans had ever seen. It was tall and thin, with gray skin that seemed to shine under bright lights. Its eyes were large and black, completely without emotion. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English, though its mouth barely moved. "I am High Commander Vexthor of the Zethkari Hegemony," the alien said. Its voice was cold and mechanical. "Your species has been found occupying territory that belongs to us. This planet will become part of our empire." The creature paused and seemed to look directly through the camera at every person watching. "You primitive beings believe you are alone in the universe. You are wrong. We have conquered 847 other species across this galaxy. All of them thought they were special. All of them were mistaken." Fear turned to terror as the alien continued speaking. "Your leaders will surrender unconditionally within 72 hours. To demonstrate our power and ensure your compliance, we will now eliminate 4 of your population centers. Consider this a gift. We could destroy your entire world in minutes." The broadcast switched to show aerial views of Mexico City. 22 million people lived there. Families were having dinner. Children were playing. People were living their normal lives. They had no idea what was about to happen. A beam of pure energy came down from the alien ship. It was beautiful in a terrible way, like lightning but perfectly controlled. The beam touched the center of the city and expanded outward in a perfect circle. Buildings, roads, cars, and people simply vanished. No explosion, no fire, just empty space where a great city had once stood. The death was instant and absolute. 5 million people stopped existing in less than 10 seconds. Admiral Rebecca Torres watched from a hidden military bunker deep underground. She had seen war before, had commanded ships in battles that cost thousands of lives. But this was different. This was the systematic murder of innocent civilians broadcast live to the world. "Sir," her aide whispered, "Mumbai is next." The beam came down again. 6 million more people died in silence. Then Lagos fell with its 4 million souls. Finally, Jakarta disappeared along with its 5 million inhabitants. 20 million human beings were erased from existence in less than an hour. High Commander Vexthor returned to the screen. "This concludes our demonstration. Your governments have 72 hours to surrender completely. Submit to Zethkari rule and live as our servants or face total extinction. We will not negotiate. We will not show mercy. You will comply or you will cease to exist." The broadcast ended. Earth fell into stunned silence. In the hidden bunkers where Earth's real leaders had been working for decades, emergency meetings began immediately. President Martinez, Premier Liu, Chancellor Schmidt, and dozens of other world leaders gathered around holographic displays. They were not the same people who appeared on television. Those were actors carefully chosen to look like leaders while the real government operated in secret. "How many ships do we count?" Admiral Torres asked. 47 in Earth orbit, came the reply. Long-range sensors show at least 200 more ships throughout the solar system. "They have complete space superiority," Dr. Chen spoke up from her secure connection. "The energy weapon they used, I've seen something like it before. The readings match theoretical models we developed from the crashed probe in 1997. Everyone in the room knew about the probe. It had been their greatest secret for 28 years. An alien scout ship had crashed in the Nevada desert, its pilot dead. Human scientists had spent decades studying its technology. learning everything they could about potential alien threats. "Can we fight them?" President Martinez asked. "Not directly," Admiral Torres replied. "Their technology is centuries ahead of ours in most areas. But we've had time to prepare. The Prometheus project has been running for 15 years. If we're going to act, it has to be soon." Above ground, the world appeared to be in chaos. News reporters spoke in hushed tones about humanity's darkest hour. Religious leaders held prayer services. Scientists appeared on television talking about the impossibility of fighting such advanced aliens. Governments issued statements calling for calm while they considered their options. But it was all theater. The real governments had known this day would come. They had prepared for it. Every major military installation had been moved underground decades ago. The most important leaders were already safe in bunkers that could survive nuclear war. Humanity's greatest scientific minds were protected behind meters of steel and rock. The aliens had made a mistake. They thought the broadcast would terrify humans into submission. Instead, it had given Earth's defenders exactly what they needed: detailed scans of alien technology in action. Every second of the attack had been recorded and analyzed by supercomputers hidden around the globe. As night fell on the first day after the attack, the alien ships continued their silent watch over Earth's cities. Inside those ships, the Zethkari were confident in their victory. They had used the same tactics on hundreds of other worlds. The pattern was always the same: demonstrate overwhelming power, give the primitives time to understand their hopelessness, then accept their surrender. They had no idea that deep beneath Earth's surface, the real war was already beginning. Dr. Chen worked through the night, studying the energy signatures from the alien weapons. The data was better than anything they could have hoped for. The aliens had revealed their technology strengths and weaknesses in a single demonstration. Admiral Torres coordinated with military commanders around the world. Weapons that had been hidden for decades were brought online. Soldiers who had trained in secret bunkers for their entire careers received their final orders. President Martinez signed authorization codes that would activate humanity's most dangerous secrets. Technologies that broke every treaty ever written were prepared for use. The gloves were coming off. In 71 hours and 23 minutes, the aliens would learn what happened when you murdered 20 million humans and broadcast it to the world. They would discover that beneath Earth's seemingly helpless surface, a sleeping giant had been waiting for exactly this moment. The Zethkari thought they had broken humanity's spirit. They could not have been more wrong. The second day after the massacre began with reports of panic across the globe. Television cameras showed empty streets in major cities. Families gathered in their homes, afraid to venture outside while alien ships hung overhead like dark clouds. World leaders appeared on television, looking tired and defeated as they spoke about exploring all diplomatic options. It was all an act. High Commander Vexthor watched the human broadcasts from his flagship, the Extinction's Edge. The massive vessel housed 50,000 Zethkari warriors and enough firepower to destroy entire continents. He felt satisfied as he observed the fear spreading among the primitive creatures below. "Commander," his aide reported, "the humans are broadcasting surrender discussions on their communication networks. Their leaders appear to be debating terms." Vexthor's black eyes showed no emotion. Predictable. They follow the same pattern as all the others: fear, denial, bargaining, and finally acceptance. We will have their complete submission within the day. What the aliens could not see was happening 3 kilometers below ground. The Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center had been expanded far beyond its original design. Now it housed the real United States government, complete with manufacturing facilities, laboratories, and living quarters for 10,000 people. President Martinez walked through corridors lined with advanced technology that officially did not exist. Holographic displays showed real-time data from around the world. The deception was working perfectly. "How are our people performing?" she asked General Harrison, commander of the underground resistance. "Better than expected," he replied. "The actors on the surface are convincing. The aliens believe our government is located in the White House bunker, just as we wanted them to think." Similar operations were running in every major nation. The Chinese leadership operated from beneath Mount Tai. European leaders worked from facilities under the Swiss Alps. Every important government had been secretly relocated underground decades ago, leaving behind convincing doubles to handle public appearances. Dr. Chen emerged from her laboratory carrying a tablet filled with data. She had not slept since the attacks began, but her eyes were bright with excitement rather than exhaustion. "We've cracked their shield harmonics," she announced. "The energy signatures from yesterday's attack show exactly how their defensive systems work. They're using quantum field manipulation, but it has a critical weakness." She pulled up a holographic display showing the alien weapon discharge. "See this pattern? Their shields have to drop for exactly 0.3 seconds when they fire their main weapons. During that window, they're completely vulnerable." Admiral Torres studied the data carefully. "Can we exploit it?" "More than exploit it," Dr. Chen smiled. "We can turn their own technology against them. The quantum entanglement drive has been ready for field testing. We just needed to know their exact frequencies." The quantum entanglement drive was humanity's greatest secret, built using technology reverse-engineered from the crashed alien probe. It could deliver devastating attacks instantly across any distance. The project had consumed the budgets of 12 nations and taken 15 years to complete. Above ground, the performance continued. News reports showed government officials meeting in emergency sessions. Religious leaders held massive prayer gatherings. Scientists appeared on television explaining why resistance was impossible against such advanced technology. The aliens observed it all with growing confidence. Their primitive leaders are beginning to understand their position, Vexthor told his staff during their daily briefing. "I estimate 6 more hours before they request formal surrender negotiations." His intelligence officer nodded. "Our scouts report that human military forces are standing down. Their nuclear weapons remain in their storage facilities. No signs of preparation for resistance." This was exactly what Earth's defenders wanted them to believe. The real military had gone underground decades ago. The nuclear weapons the aliens could detect were obsolete models left specifically to be found. The actual deterrent force was hidden so deep that not even the best alien sensors could locate it. Meanwhile, volunteer operatives prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history. These were not soldiers but scientists, linguists, and actors. Their job was to make contact with the aliens and gather intelligence from inside their ships. Dr. James Park had volunteered for the mission despite having a wife and 2 young children. He was a xenobiologist who had spent 20 years studying the alien probe's biological samples. If anyone could survive close contact with the Zethkari, it was him. "Remember," Dr. Chen briefed the volunteers, "you're carrying nanoscale transmitters in your bloodstream. Everything you see and hear will be recorded. We need detailed information about their ship layouts, troop numbers, and any weaknesses you can identify." The volunteers also carried something else, a biological weapon specifically engineered to target Zethkari physiology. It was designed to remain dormant for exactly 72 hours, then activate simultaneously in every volunteer. The aliens would have no warning. As the second day progressed, the Zethkari began detecting human radio transmissions that seemed to be surrender negotiations. Government officials were heard discussing terms, asking about the treatment of prisoners, and debating whether to accept alien rule. The transmissions were entirely fabricated, broadcast from hidden facilities to make the aliens believe their psychological warfare was working. "Excellent progress," Vexthor reported to the Hegemony High Command. "The human leadership is crumbling as expected. We should have complete control within 12 hours. The High Command was pleased. The Zethkari Empire was expanding faster than ever before. This galaxy had proven surprisingly easy to conquer. Most species surrendered after seeing what happened to the first few who resisted. But Earth's leaders were studying more than just alien technology. They had intercepted Zethkari communications and discovered the horrifying truth about the invasion. This was not about conquest or resources. It was about extermination. The aliens planned to use Earth as a breeding world for their species. Every human would be eliminated once the planet was ready for colonization. The surrender option was a lie designed to make resistance less likely. "They've done this 847 times before," Intelligence Director Walsh reported during a secure briefing. "Every single species they've encountered has been completely eliminated. They call it biological optimization of territorial resources." President Martinez felt her blood turn cold. "How many beings have they murdered?" "Our estimates suggest over 2 trillion sentient creatures across the galaxy. They don't take slaves or accept submissions. They kill everything that isn't Zethkari. This changed everything. What had begun as a defensive war was now a fight for the survival of all life in the galaxy." If humanity failed, the killing would continue until nothing remained but Zethkari colonies on dead worlds. Admiral Torres called an emergency meeting of the Joint Chiefs. Change of mission parameters. This is no longer about protecting Earth. We're fighting to stop a galaxy-wide genocide. The plans became more ambitious. Instead of simply driving off the invasion, humanity would need to strike at the heart of the Zethkari Empire. Every ship, every base, every colony would have to be eliminated. It was the only way to ensure they could never threaten another species. As the second day ended, the aliens prepared for what they expected would be humanity's surrender. They moved their ships into optimal positions over Earth's major cities. Ground forces were loaded into transport vessels, ready to begin the occupation. High Commander Vex Thor composed his victory message to the hegemony. In it, he praised the efficiency of the operation and estimated that Earth's biological sterilization could begin within a week. He had no idea that 3 kilometers below his target areas, the most advanced military force in human history was preparing to launch the deadliest surprise attack ever conceived. The 72-hour deadline was approaching. Soon, the aliens would learn that they had made the worst mistake in the history of galactic civilization. They had attacked humanity. The third day dawned with an eerie calm across Earth. The alien ships maintained their positions above every major city, their dark hulls casting shadows over millions of terrified people. On the surface, humanity appeared broken and ready to surrender. Below ground, the greatest military operation in human history moved into its final phase. High Commander Vex Thor stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching Earth turn slowly beneath him. The planet was beautiful with its blue oceans and white clouds. Soon it would be transformed into another Zethkari breeding world, its original inhabitants nothing but a memory. "Commander," his communications officer announced, "we are receiving surrender transmissions from multiple human governments. They are requesting terms for capitulation." Vex Thor's thin lips curved in what might have been a smile. "Predictable. Begin standard occupation protocols. Deploy advanced teams to secure their government facilities." The first Zethkari shuttles descended toward Earth's major cities. Each one carried 50 soldiers equipped with weapons that could level city blocks. They expected to find cowering humans ready to accept their new masters. Instead, they found empty buildings. The White House was deserted except for cleaning staff who claimed the president had fled to an unknown location. The Kremlin contained only low-level bureaucrats who insisted they knew nothing about their leader's whereabouts. Government buildings around the world seemed to have been abandoned by anyone important. "This is unusual," reported Colonel Zexmar from the Washington landing team. "Human leadership appears to have evacuated. We are finding only civilians and minor officials." Vex Thor was not concerned. Fear makes primitives behave irrationally. Continue with the occupation. Locate their true command centers. What the aliens did not realize was that they were being led exactly where humanity wanted them to go. Every building they entered contained hidden sensors that recorded their movements, weapons, and communication frequencies. Every Zethkari soldier on Earth was being tracked and analyzed. Dr. Park and his team of volunteers approached the alien landing site in New York. They had made themselves look like desperate refugees, carrying white flags and moving slowly with their hands visible. The performance had to be perfect. "Please," Dr. Park called out in broken English, though he held multiple degrees and spoke 6 languages fluently. "We want surrender. We have information about human government hiding places." The Zethkari soldiers were cautious but interested. Through their translators, they questioned the humans about military installations and leadership locations. Dr. Park fed them carefully prepared false information, while his nanoscale transmitters recorded every detail of the alien soldiers. "Equipment and physiology. You will come with us," the alien squad leader decided. "You will show us these hiding places." Dr. Park and his team were taken aboard a Zethkari transport ship. As they moved through the corridors, they memorized every detail: the layout, the crew numbers, the locations of critical systems. The nanoscale transmitters sent real-time data to quantum receivers buried deep beneath Earth's surface. Similar operations were taking place in dozens of cities around the world. Volunteer teams allowed themselves to be captured while gathering intelligence that would prove invaluable in the coming battle. Deep in the Mount Weather facility, Dr. Chen monitored the incoming data streams. Every piece of information brought humanity closer to understanding their enemy completely. "We have detailed scans of their personal armor," she reported to Admiral Torres. "Their life support systems, their weapons, even their biological vital signs. The nanomites are working perfectly." The biological weapon was also performing as designed. Hidden in the volunteers' bloodstreams, engineered viruses were already beginning to adapt to Zethkari physiology. In less than 24 hours, they would activate simultaneously across the entire invasion force. But the volunteers were gathering more than just technical data. They were learning about Zethkari psychology and tactics. The aliens were arrogant beyond belief, convinced that no primitive species could threaten them. They discussed their plans openly in front of their human prisoners, never imagining that every word was being recorded. After the sterilization phase, one alien officer explained to his troops, "This world will support approximately 50 billion of our kind. The elimination of the current inhabitants should take no more than 6 months." The casual way they discussed genocide filled Dr. Park with rage, but he maintained his act of terrified cooperation. The intelligence was too valuable to risk compromising his cover. Meanwhile, Admiral Torres was coordinating with military commanders around the world. The quantum entanglement weapons were fully charged and ready for deployment. Targeting data flowed in from every captured volunteer, providing exact coordinates for every alien ship and installation. "Prometheus Control. This is Lunar Base Sanctuary," came a transmission from humanity's secret moon base. "All quantum torpedo bays are loaded and standing by. We have clear targeting solutions for the entire enemy fleet." The moon base had been humanity's greatest construction project, built in secret over 15 years using advanced materials from the alien probe. Hidden on the far side of the moon, it housed the most powerful weapons humanity had ever created. President Martinez reviewed the final battle plans one last time. The operation was impossibly complex, requiring split-second timing across multiple star systems. But if it worked, the Zethkari threat would be eliminated completely. "Are we certain about the intelligence regarding their home systems?" she asked Director Walsh. "The captured communications are very clear," Walsh replied. "They have 247 ships spread across 43 star systems. Our quantum weapons can reach all of them simultaneously. The question is whether we can maintain the element of surprise long enough." The element of surprise was crucial. If even one Zethkari ship escaped to warn their homeworlds, the entire operation would fail. Humanity would face retaliation from an empire spanning thousands of worlds. As the deadline approached, the aliens prepared for their final broadcast. High Commander Vex Thor planned to address the galaxy once again, announcing humanity's surrender and demonstrating Zethkari dominance to any species that might consider resistance. Broadcasting in all galactic languages, his communications officer reported, "We are reaching approximately 15,000 worlds. This demonstration should discourage resistance movements for at least 50 years. Vex Thor stepped before the cameras, unaware that human intelligence teams were preparing to hack his transmission. When the time came, his victory broadcast would become something very different. "Citizens of the galaxy," Vex Thor began, his voice carrying across the stars. "Today marks another triumph for the Zethkari hegemony. The species known as humans has surrendered unconditionally. Their world will be cleansed and prepared for our colonization within the month." He paused for dramatic effect, his black eyes reflecting the lights of his ship's bridge. "Let this serve as a reminder to all inferior species. Resistance to Zethkari expansion is futile. Submit peacefully and your deaths will be swift. Resist and suffer the fate that befell the humans." The transmission reached thousands of worlds where enslaved populations watched in despair. Another species had fallen to the Zethkari war machine. Hope for liberation grew dimmer with each conquest. But this time would be different. Deep beneath Earth's surface, Dr. Chen placed her hand on the quantum entanglement activation control. Around the world, similar controls waited for their operators. On the moon, Admiral Torres prepared to give the order that would change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "All stations report ready," came the coordinated response from commanders across the solar system. The countdown had begun. In exactly 37 minutes, when Zethkari ships would be in optimal positions for their planned extermination broadcast, humanity would reveal its true nature. The aliens thought they had witnessed human surrender. They were about to learn what human vengeance looked like. The storm was gathering, and when it broke, nothing would survive. The moment came at exactly 1447, Greenwich Mean Time on the third day. High Commander Vexthor stood before the galaxy preparing to broadcast humanity's final moments. His ships were positioned perfectly over Earth's major cities, ready to demonstrate the complete extermination of another species. 15,000 worlds watched through hijacked communication networks. "Begin the cleansing," Vexthor commanded. The alien weapons powered up with their familiar deadly hum. Energy beams prepared to lance down at the remaining human population centers. It would be over in minutes. Instead, the universe exploded. Dr. Chen's finger pressed the quantum activation switch at the exact moment Admiral Torres gave the command from Lunar Base Sanctuary. Around the world, 57 other operators activated their controls simultaneously. The quantum entanglement weapons fired as one. The effect was instantaneous and horrifying. High Commander Vexthor's flagship simply ceased to exist. 1 second, it was a massive dreadnought capable of destroying planets. The next second, there was only empty space and expanding clouds of superheated gas. The quantum torpedo had bypassed every shield and defense system as if they were not there. Across Earth's skies, 46 more alien ships met the same fate. The quantum weapons reached through folded space-time to strike at the exact atomic structure of their targets. No defense could stop them because they attacked from inside the ships themselves. "Direct hits on all primary targets," reported the weapons. "Officer from Sanctuary Base. Enemy. Fleet over Earth is completely destroyed, but Earth's weapons did not stop there. The quantum entanglement system was connected to a network of hidden transmitters that had been tracking every Zethkari ship in the solar system. Supply vessels, scout ships, communication relays. All of them vanished in the same instant as the main fleet. Admiral Torres watched the tactical display as red dots representing enemy contacts blinked out of existence one by one. 234 alien ships destroyed in less than 30 seconds. Phase 1 complete, she announced. Beginning Phase 2. Phase 2 was the most ambitious part of the plan. Using quantum entanglement, the weapons could strike targets at any distance instantly. The intelligence gathered from captured aliens had provided exact coordinates for every Zethkari installation within 50 light-years of Earth. Dr. Chen monitored the quantum field generators as they reached across the galaxy. The power requirements were enormous, draining the output of 12 fusion reactors hidden in Earth's crust. But it was working. On the Zethkari colony world of Vexmala Prime, the orbital defense platform suddenly exploded without warning. The colonists looked up in confusion as their protection vanished in silent fireballs. They had no way of knowing that their fleet at Earth had just been destroyed. Similar strikes hit 43 other star systems simultaneously. Supply depots, communication arrays, and military installations were obliterated before their crews could even register the attack. The Zethkari Empire's outer territories went dark in minutes, but the most important target was yet to come. The intelligence taken from captured aliens had revealed the location of the hegemony's main fleet, 800 ships gathering at the staging area in the Zethkara system. They were preparing to deploy to Earth in case the initial invasion force encountered problems. They would not get the chance. "Quantum locks confirmed on Zethkara system," Dr. Chen reported. "All 800 ships are in range." "Fire," Admiral Torres commanded. The quantum weapons reached across 27 light-years of space in 0 time. The entire Zethkari reserve fleet died before they knew they were under attack. 800 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy became expanding clouds of debris in the span of a heartbeat. On Earth, the biological weapon was also activating. Dr. Park and thousands of other volunteers felt the engineered virus begin its work in their bloodstreams. Within hours, every Zethkari soldier on the planet would be dead. The aliens who had landed on Earth were dying in agony, their biology unable to cope with the precisely engineered pathogen. But they were not dying silently. Their emergency transmissions filled the communication channels with reports of impossible attacks and spreading disease. Unfortunately for them, those transmissions never reached their destinations. Human cyber warfare specialists had taken control of the Zethkari communication network hours earlier. Instead of warnings, the homeworlds received fabricated status reports indicating successful occupation of Earth. High Command on Vexthara Prime received word that the human conquest was proceeding on schedule. They had no idea that their entire expeditionary force had been wiped out. President Martinez emerged from her bunker for the first time in 3 days. Above ground, the world was celebrating. The alien ships that had terrorized Earth's population were gone, reduced to glowing debris falling harmlessly into the oceans. But she knew the war was far from over. How long before they realize what happened? She asked Director Walsh. Our cyber warfare teams estimate 6 to 8 weeks before Zeth Thera Prime becomes suspicious about the lack of real communication from their forces, he replied. By then, we'll be ready for Phase 3. Phase 3 was the most ambitious plan in human history. Using captured alien technology combined with quantum entanglement drives, Earth would launch a counterattack against the Zethkari homeworlds. It would not be enough to defend Earth. Humanity would have to destroy the entire Zethkari empire to ensure they could never threaten another species. Dr. Chen was already working on modifications to the quantum weapons. We can scale up the system to reach their core territories, but we'll need more power than Earth's reactors can provide. What do you need? Admiral Torres asked. Jupiter, Dr. Chen replied simply. We need to build a fusion plant in Jupiter's atmosphere. The energy output would be sufficient to power quantum strikes against targets anywhere in the galaxy. The audacity of the plan was breathtaking. Humanity would harvest energy from a gas giant to power weapons that could destroy planets, but it was the only way to ensure complete victory. Work began immediately. Construction ships launched from hidden facilities around the solar system, heading for Jupiter carrying equipment that had been designed in secret for decades. The industrial capacity that the aliens had overlooked would become humanity's greatest weapon. Meanwhile, the volunteers on Earth were providing one final service. As the biological weapon killed the Zethkari invaders, human scientists studied every detail of alien physiology. The data would be invaluable for developing weapons to use against the homeworlds. Complete biological breakdown achieved in all targets, Dr. Park reported weekly from his medical bed. The virus was designed to be harmless to humans, but the stress of the mission had taken its toll. Alien physiology completely mapped. We know how to kill them efficiently now. The intercepted alien communications were also providing crucial intelligence. Human linguists worked around the clock to decode Zethkari data files, learning about their empire's structure, their military capabilities, and most importantly, the locations of their breeding worlds. They have 14 major population centers, Intelligence Director Walsh reported. Each one houses between 50 and 200 billion Zethkari. If we can destroy their homeworlds, their empire will collapse completely. The scale of what humanity was planning was staggering. They were not just fighting for Earth's survival, they were planning to commit genocide against an entire species that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Some questioned whether such extreme measures were necessary. Those doubts vanished when the full extent of Zethkari crimes became clear. 47 species exterminated, Dr. Chen read from the decoded files. Estimated total casualties, 2.3 trillion sentient beings. They call it cosmic optimization through biological cleansing. The aliens had not just conquered other species, they had systematically exterminated every form of non-Zethkari life they encountered. Planets that had supported complex ecosystems for millions of years had been stripped bare and converted into sterile breeding grounds. Humanity was fighting for more than just Earth. They were fighting to avenge trillions of murdered beings and to ensure that the Zethkari could never kill again. As the debris from the alien fleet finished falling into Earth's oceans, Admiral Torres issued orders that would reshape the galaxy. Humanity's war machine was just getting started. The aliens had made their greatest mistake when they broadcast their crimes to the universe. Now they would learn what happened when Earth struck back, and this time nothing would survive. 18 months after the first alien ship appeared over Earth, Admiral Rebecca Torres stood on the bridge of the UES Vengeance, humanity's first interstellar dreadnought. Built using captured Zethkari technology and powered by quantum drives, it was larger and more deadly than any ship the aliens had ever constructed. Through the viewport, she watched the last Zethkari colony burn. Vex Prime is secure, reported Captain Jensen from the surface. No survivors detected. The planetary sterilization is complete. It was the same report she had heard from 42 other worlds over the past year. The human liberation fleet had swept through former Zethkari space like an unstoppable force of nature, methodically destroying every trace of the empire that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. The campaign had not been easy. Despite their initial success, humanity had faced desperate resistance from Zethkari remnants who finally understood what they were facing. But human technology had advanced rapidly using captured alien equipment, and human determination had proven unbreakable. Dr. Chen joined Admiral Torres on the bridge, carrying a data tablet filled with analysis reports. She looked older than her years, worn down by the moral weight of what humanity had become. They were liberators and avengers, but they were also the architects of genocide. The biological weapons worked perfectly on Vex Mala, Dr. Chen reported quietly. Complete species termination achieved in 47 hours. No adaptation to our engineered pathogens detected. The biological weapons had been humanity's most effective tool. Designed using data gathered from the original invasion, they targeted Zethkari genetics specifically. Other species on the conquered worlds remained unharmed while their former oppressors died in agony. Any word from the Kepler Liberation Force? Admiral Torres asked. Captain Williams reports that the Andromedary survivors are ready for repatriation. Their home system has been cleared of all Zethkari presence. They can begin rebuilding their civilization immediately. The liberation of enslaved species had become humanity's secondary mission. As they destroyed Zethkari colonies, they discovered thousands of beings from conquered worlds forced into slave labor. The grateful survivors became allies in the campaign, providing intelligence and sometimes joining human forces in combat. The bridge's communication system activated with an urgent transmission from Earth. President Martinez appeared on the main screen, speaking from the rebuilt White House. The building had been reconstructed as a symbol of humanity's resilience, though the real government still operated from secure underground facilities. Admiral Torres, you're needed at the Zeththera system immediately. Our deep space monitors have detected the approach of the hegemony's final fleet. 8,000 ships are converging on their home world for a last stand. Torres felt a grim satisfaction. After 18 months of systematic destruction, the Zethkari had finally gathered their remaining forces for one desperate battle. It would be the largest space engagement in galactic history. Understood, Madam President. The Liberation Fleet will be in position within 6 hours. She turned to her navigation officer. Set course for Zeththera Prime. Maximum quantum drive. Signal all ships to prepare for final engagement. The human Liberation Fleet had grown far beyond Earth's original forces. Grateful species throughout the galaxy had contributed ships, technology, and personnel to the campaign against their former oppressors. The fleet now numbered over 12,000 vessels from dozens of worlds. As the Vengeance jumped to faster-than-light travel, Admiral Torres reviewed the intelligence reports about their destination. Zeththera Prime was the Zethkari homeworld, a massive planet housing nearly 300 billion aliens. It was heavily defended by orbital weapons platforms and protected by the most advanced shield systems in their empire. It would not be enough. The quantum entanglement weapons had been scaled up beyond Dr. Chen's wildest dreams. The Jupiter fusion facility now powered weapons that could destroy entire star systems. More importantly, humanity had learned to combine their technology with contributions from liberated species, creating weapons of unimaginable power. Approaching Zeththera system, the navigation officer reported. Enemy fleet detected at maximum range. Confirmed count, 8,247 vessels. Admiral Torres activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, this is Admiral Torres. Today we finish what they started when they murdered 20 million innocents on live broadcast. Today we ensure that no species will ever again suffer under Zethkari oppression. All ships, prepare for final assault. The response came from thousands of ships representing dozens of species. Humans flew alongside Andromedary refugees, Kepler survivors, and representatives from worlds whose names had been forgotten for centuries. They were united by one purpose: to ensure the Zethkari could never kill again. Quantum weapons charged and ready, Dr. Chen reported from the Weapons Control Center. We have targeting locks on all enemy vessels. Enemy fleet is moving to intercept, reported the tactical officer. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Shall I put it through? Let's hear what they have to say, Torres decided. The main screen showed the bridge of a Zethkari command ship. The alien commander was different from the others they had faced. older, with scars across his gray skin and eyes that held something almost like wisdom. "I am Fleet Admiral Kexthon of the Zethkari hegemony," the alien said. His voice carried no arrogance, only weary resignation. "I speak for the last free forces of my people. We know what you have come to do." Admiral Torres responded calmly. "Then you know resistance is futile. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." The alien's scarred face showed what might have been a smile. "You offer us the same mercy we offered your species. The irony is not lost on me. But we cannot surrender. We cannot allow our people to be exterminated, even if we deserve it. You forfeited any claim to mercy when you murdered 20 million civilians on live broadcast," Torres replied. "You forfeited it when you exterminated 8 from 47 other species. Your empire ends today." Fleet Admiral Kexthon nodded slowly. "I was present at many of those exterminations. I gave the orders that sterilized dozens of worlds. I know what we are and I know what we have become. But these ships carry the last children of our species. I cannot let them die without a fight." The transmission ended. The Zethkari fleet began its final charge. "All ships engage," Admiral Torres commanded. The battle was over in minutes. Quantum weapons reached across space to tear apart Zethkari ships before they could fire a shot. Antimatter torpedoes launched by liberated species found their targets with perfect accuracy. The combined might of dozens of civilizations fell upon the last Zethkari fleet like the hammer of justice. Fleet Admiral Kexthon's flagship was the last to die. As quantum fire consumed his bridge, he transmitted one final message. "We should have stopped after the first world. We should have learned mercy instead of perfecting genocide. Perhaps the galaxy will remember us as a warning of what happens when a species abandons compassion." Then he was gone, along with the last military force in Zethkari space. "Fleet engagement complete," reported the tactical officer. "No enemy survivors detected." Admiral Torres turned her attention to the planet below. Zeththera Prime hung in space like a gray-green jewel, home to the last major population of the species that had terrorized the galaxy. Orbital defense platforms tried desperately to power up their weapons, but quantum strikes silenced them before they could fire. "Dr. Chen, begin planetary sterilization," Torres ordered. "Biological weapons deployed," Dr. Chen confirmed, though her voice cracked with emotion. "Planetary saturation will be complete in 12 hours." The engineered viruses fell like invisible rain across Zeththera Prime. In cities that had stood for thousands of years, the last Zethkari began to die. They died as they had lived, without mercy, without hope, and without anyone to mourn their passing. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving transmissions from across the galaxy. Former Zethkari territories are declaring independence. Enslaved populations are rising up on the remaining colony worlds." It was over. The Zethkari Empire, which had dominated the galaxy for centuries, had been completely destroyed. Their ships were debris, their colonies were liberated, and their homeworld was dying. Admiral Torres authorized the final broadcast, a message that would reach every inhabited world in the galaxy. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began, "the Zethkari Empire is no more. Their fleets have been destroyed, their colonies liberated, and their homeworld sterilized. The species that murdered trillions of innocent beings across 847 worlds has been eliminated completely." She paused, looking out at the dying planet below. "Let this serve as a warning to any who would follow their path. Humanity remembers every crime, every genocide, every innocent life lost to tyranny. We will find you, we will judge you, and if necessary, we will erase you from existence." The transmission reached thousands of worlds where beings celebrated their freedom for the first time in generations, but it also reached species that had harbored their own imperial ambitions. The message was clear. The galaxy had new protectors and they would not tolerate genocide. Dr. Chen joined Admiral Torres at the viewport as Zeththera Prime completed its death spiral.